Hey, welcome to the Saltwater Bum YouTube channel. I'm an amateur surfer, not trying to make a name for myself, just trying to vlog my journey towards a personal surf goal. And I know I said in the last video, which happened to be the first video, that I was going to go over what that goal is. But first, I think it's time to check out the surf from yesterday. Which I've already went over the footage, edited, blah, blah, blah. So this will kind of introduce to that. And then from there, I will then come back to go over the goals. The goal, although I do have goals in surfing. But the one particular big goal is the one that this journey will be about. But I think it's a little better if you see where I'm at with surfing first. I said in the last video I've been surfing for 3 years, so this was not my best surf session. The waves weren't really all that great. They were a little on the side of mushy, and because of the hurricanes we've had recently, our sandbars have just been destroyed. So it's mostly shore break now. Shallow water dumping, but this was actually breaking more on the outside, but it was a little mushy. Now it used to be they were great on the outside, and the shore break just kind of sucked, and now the shore break's the only ones with any kind of power to it. But I was on a fun shape also, which I haven't ridden that much, but I do enjoy riding it. It doesn't perform all that great, but you know, for me, it's a big board that let me, you know, catch pretty relatively small waves. They were about, I think, about stomach high or so, I'd say, at the peak, and then they would just gradually cut down from there. So check it out, and I'll be back afterwards. Didn't want to miss that one. Yeah. Oh, that would have been a good ride. Opportunity failed. Here's another one. Hello. Which foot are us? up, bruh? Perfect left. And I told you, not that great at surfing right now. It's not my best surf session. I've actually had at least 3 others that were better. That never even got. They were never recorded. I didn't have a camera with me those times. I was on shortboards those times. The waves were better. They were steeper. I got more speed and power. It seemed like yesterday what was holding me back was I didn't really have enough speed. And it's hard for someone my size on a board that size to pump for speed. Especially since the board has a little bit of rocker to it. And it's also pretty relatively thin. The only great thing about it is it's epoxy, so it's lighter, so that's going to help with buoyancy that it lacks for being so relatively thin. I think it's only about 2 1/4 inches or so, so it's like at the thickest part of it, so it's pretty thin. Now, on to the goal. First, I'm going to tell you the backstory of it. So I've been surfing for 3 years now. I've had a lot going against me during that 3 years. You know, the first 2.5 years I wasn't surfing any kind of consistency. And even now I still surf like, 2, maybe 3 times a week at most. And for a short period of time. Yesterday I was out for 45 minutes. Everything from smoking to, not getting enough or the right nutrition, food, not getting enough sleep. Let's see, last night I got 5 hours sleep, so that was pretty good, but the night before I got like 4. So that surfing was off of 4 hours of sleep after working all day. And then, just, trying to surf against all the other guys that are out there that have been surfing for way longer than I have, who have probably been taught how to surf. That was another thing, I've never been taught. So I've been going against everything, but I still have this goal, and it's going to sound pretty ridiculous once you know what it is. But that's what I'm moving towards. So the backstory, about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, it was a few weeks after I started surfing, a buddy that I work with who had also just recently started surfing, probably about 6 months before, and was introduced to surfing by the same guy I was, the legend, aka Bill Honeycutt. He was like, "Hey man, you gotta check out this movie. It's a great movie." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, all right, sure." He's like, "Yeah man, it's this it's this great movie, man, great surf movie. And I was like, oh, surf movie, okay, I'll probably check it out then. And he's like, yeah, it's this movie, Chasing Mavericks. Some of you already know where I'm going with this. Relax. So I check out the movie probably a couple weeks later. So it gets to the point in the movie where, you know, the main character, he walks around the fence and he looks out and he sees the wave for the first time. And it's just, you know, cue dramatic music. He's just in awe. And I was like, oh, that's a nice looking wave. And then you see the guys that he's watching take off on the wave, and you see how big this wave is. And I was like, that's a really big, nice looking wave. Fast forward. Then he's out there again. He sees one of that original crew out there surfing solo. And I'm like, you're dumb. And then he washes up on the rocks after taking a wipeout on one of these big waves. He just washed up on this giant rock, and I'm sitting there, you idiot. That's why you don't surf alone. And then, fast forward again. He's going through all this training. He hits up on the wave, and he falls. And he's under the water. He's going to turn around, toss, turn, blah, blah, blah. He comes up gasping for air, you know, pulling his freaking wetsuit so he can, you know, just get some pressure off his throat just so he can just try to breathe. And I remember I was just thinking, you guys are stupid. Who in their right mind would want to surf those waves? These people need help. They need to be institutionalized. They need psychiatrists because they are psychotic. I was like, idiots. Complete idiots. So I thought about it. And then the next morning I woke up and the first thought I had was, I have to surf that wave. I need to surf Mavericks. And since then it has just been this gnawing need. So pretty much by the end of the first month of me trying to teach myself surfing, I came up with this idea that I need to surf Mavericks. So this whole channel is just going to be my journey towards trying to surf Mavericks. Now, if you saw the surfing that I did and you're thinking, no way, it's going to be a long freaking time before you could ever even think about it. Know this, when I'm talking about Mavericks, I'm not talking about surfing close to shore where Mavericks is. I'm talking about surfing Mavericks. If you don't know what Mavericks is, Google Mavericks surf. Boom. Enough said. All kinds of videos can be seen. Some of you might be thinking, oh, it's crazy. Why would you want to go and surf it? I don't know. I don't have a clue. It's completely against everything that I've ever wanted in my life. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I've been scared of Ferris wheels. Because, oh my gosh, what if it breaks down and I'm stuck at the top of this thing and it's swinging and feeling like the cart you're sitting in is just going to fall, or the thing's going to tip over or whatever. Like, I've been scared of Ferris wheels. You know, so I've always been cautious and just not wanting to take any risk or do anything of any kind of consequence. You know, like I don't even like speeding in my car, you know, even though everyone around me is speeding. So it's actually, I guess, kind of probably more dangerous to actually do the speed limit than it is to speed, because you might get run over from behind, which is kind of sad. But yeah, you know, I know it don't make sense, but it's what I want. It's what I'm going towards, and it really feels like I just have to surf this wave, and I don't know why. And it's not the only big wave that I'm interested in. I want to surf big waves, but the goal here is specifically surfing Mavericks, which is not exactly a beginner big wave. But I think it can be done. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be trained. So I'm going to be training myself physically, mentally, breath training. I'm going to go over this in the next video, all the training that I plan on doing, and kind of walk you through the goals during the training, which will then be stepped up into higher and higher and higher goals until I think not only am I ready to surf this wave, but I'm beyond ready to surf it. Like I'm more prepared than I need to be to surf it. Because I don't want to go out there and just, barely make it. I want it to almost be easy the first time. Now the first time I'll probably go out when it's like 15 to 18 foot plus. The wave starts breaking at 12, but it seems kind of mushy every time I see it on the live cam feeds. So it starts to come alive more around 18 foot or so. So the 15 to 18 foot plus, occasionally 20, 25 foot, whatever, that seems to be the bracket that I'll probably try that wave at first, but we'll see. And maybe one day I'll be surfing, giant 60-foot Mavericks, 80-foot Jaws, or 35-foot Toto Santos, or 25-foot Cloud Break. Oh, I'd love to surf Cloud Break. Giant, long, barreling left. Why not? Who wouldn't love that? Especially a goofy footer like me. Even though I can surf switch, taught myself that within the first 6 months of surfing. I was like, man, I don't really like going backside. I'm gonna learn to go switch so I can be front side on the wave. I don't do it very often, and I'm actually working right now on trying to improve my backside. But every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I want to go. I feel a little itchy, and I want to scratch that itch with a switch foot stance. And sometimes I'll switch up my stance while I'm already on the board. Sometimes I'll just stand up already in the switch stance. I would say I'm probably a little better now backside than I am switch, but I used to be better switch than backside. So it depends on, it's been a while since I've done switch. And except for yesterday, that was the first time in a while. But because mostly I've been trying to work on my backside, especially since Mavericks is a right breaking wave traditionally. Although actually traditionally, if you're speaking about real traditional, Jeff Clark surfed that wave for 15, 16 years, something like that, by himself, mostly as a left. So I know it can be surfed as a left as well. But yeah, that's my goal. It sounds crazy. I know it does. It sounds freaking crazy to me too. But that's where I'm going, and I'm going to surf that wave one day, even if it kills me. And that's a guarantee. That is a guarantee. I have to surf that wave. If I live long enough, I'm going to surf that wave. Because of course I don't know what's going to happen. I could die tomorrow for all I know. Could die today for all I know. But if I live long enough, I'm going to surf that wave, even if surfing that wave is what kills me. I'm fine with dying anyways. I know where I go when I die, so it's all good with me. But cool story before I go. Yesterday there was an older gentleman came up to me in the parking lot, when I was putting my surfboard back in the truck, taking my wetsuit off, whatever. He came up to me, and I didn't notice it, but he said that he almost cut me off on a wave, and he apologized for cutting me off, and that's definitely not something that you typically get around here. An older surfer apologizing to a younger surfer, regardless of who was in the wrong. That's something that doesn't typically happen, especially from the older guys and from like the teenagers. The teenagers are just oblivious to anything going on except them and catching waves. They don't even look to the sides. They don't even look both ways before they cross the street, so to speak. which is actually really a problem, actually, at least where I live. People just, I can't stand going to Walmart because, people just walking across the road. Yeah, it's a crosswalk. There's also people that don't pay attention. Who you think's going to win between you and a several thousand-pound vehicle? My bet is on the several thousand-pound vehicle. Use your freaking head, people, and teach your kids to walk across the street so they're not just running out in the street without looking because they're used to it, because mommy just walks them across the street without looking. Anyways, he came up and apologized, and I just thought that was really cool because that's not something that actually happens very often, really, from anybody, older, younger, whatever, but especially not the older guys around here. They seem to be a bit more of like the salty sea dogs kind of attitude, that old school pirate surfer kind of, rebel without a cause, don't get in my way kind of surfers. So especially for one of them to apologize, I was like, wow. Like I never thought that. I typically apologize when I'm like, oh, I accidentally cut someone off, or I almost cut someone off, or I felt like they, I got in their way in any kind of way, or if I interfered in any way with them catching the wave or while they're on the wave, I try to apologize to them for that. Because that's not what I'm trying to do, and I'm new still, so to speak, and I'm not that great at surfing, so I'm not trying to get in anyone's way, but if I do happen to get in anyone's way, I try to apologize for it. But I thought it was pretty cool when I told the guy, I was like, look, as far as I'm concerned, if no one got hurt and everyone out here having a good time, it's cool with me, man. Like, I mean, I've had people cut me off, like, I've had people, snake waves out from underneath me where I'm paddling for the wave, and I'm more on the outside of them and they're on the inside of me, and they don't even paddle side to side. Instead, they just turn and start paddling right in front of me, blocking me from catching the wave. I've had people, I'm on one side, I'm looking to my left because that's the way I'm going. There's no one over on my right, but there's someone on my left, and I'm going left, and they don't even look to the right. They just keep looking left and just paddling, and I'm just, okay, take the wave, It's not worth fighting over. There's another wave right out there, so I'll go get that one. They're definitely not world-class waves around here anyway, so it's definitely not something to get mad about, but I've seen plenty of people get mad about stuff, and I just don't get it, if you ask any surfer why they surf, what's the number one answer? It's fun. It's fun, right? Well, how fun is it when you're in a ticked off mood, when you let someone else get you in a ticked off mood, or when you're ticked off at someone else? How much fun are you really having? Let's try to enjoy ourselves and treat each other nicely, and remember, everyone was a kook at some point. All right, so stop taking things so seriously when it's it's just surfing. There's another wave right out there. It's probably right behind that one. Go catch that one. No big deal. It's not that big of a deal. More waves keep coming. And if the spot's too crowded, paddle right down the beach. Or surf your way into the beach and then walk down the beach and paddle back out again. There's another spot where there's probably nobody surfing. If you have that much of a problem surfing around other people, go there. Anyways, enough of that ranting. Somewhere out there in this world, there's a wave breaking. So just go out there and surf it. Just surf, brah.